everybody. GGinspire here. Gillian Giorgio, ready to inspire another day. Share my story. This is for entrepreneurs or budding entrepreneurs or people that are just sick and tired of working for somebody else. So we're on live with Facebook and Instagram. Thanks for joining us. I'm going to invite a few people in. Today's going to be monumental. I just actually got this topic. Jewel gave me this one a few minutes ago, and I had a topic all ready for you. So I might incorporate a little bit of that to what I'm going to talk about today. But feel free, ask questions. Please share this video. Please like, share, comment, do everything you can. You know, there are people out there that are looking and hungry and dissatisfied with where they are, and they're looking for some inspiration in their lives. And people ask me all the time, why did you choose GGinspire? Hey, Fabiana. Hi, Brian. Hey, Angie. Why did I choose GGinspire? Well, you know, what I found is that there's so much negativity in the world, right? We are super like inundated with negativity all the time. It's coming at us from the news, not that most people watch the news anymore, or you see it on Facebook news, or you see it in social media. Hi, Letitia. You see so much. And what happens oftentimes is that, you know, a lot of people kill your dreams. A lot of people tell you, no, don't do that because this is going to happen. Hi, Susie. Hey, Lewis. Don't do that because this is going to happen. Hey, Portland. Hey, Julia. Thanks for joining us. People tell you like, oh, that's a bad idea because you're not going to be able to do this, or you're not going to be able to do that, or I thought you said you wanted to do this. I mean, people give me such a hard time when I, you know, studied. I did everything I was supposed to do, and when I decided that I didn't want to be in medicine anymore, you know, people were like, that's crazy. That's such a shame. You know, you did all that work and now you're just going to, you know, throw it away to be an entrepreneur. Like that was a terrible idea, right? Hey, Jewel. Hey, Sharon. So, you know, people will always give you their opinions of what they think about what you're doing. Unfortunately, oftentimes they're not right for you because it's their opinion, right? So you have to go and know yourself and figure out what works best for you. But we pull our inspiration from so many places, you know, the inspiration to get better, right? So GGinspire was to inspire others to get better and to like step into their own greatness and find what really makes them happy in their lives versus what everybody else thinks. So when I started in business, I had a ton of people who just completely downed me for what I was doing. You're out of your mind. That sounds stupid. Like, you know, you're gonna ruin your life. And I thought, no, but this really feels right to me. And somehow it may not feel right to you, but that's okay. So we have so much negativity in the world. And, you know, we have it on Facebook, social media, all over the place, right? So people with integrity focus on building people up and giving people the capacity to step into, like I said, their own greatness or find what really makes them happy. But people that are not of integrity or people that are in a bad situation where they're already unhappy or miserable in some way, shape, or form, they don't want you to be happy because it makes them uncomfortable, right? So are you somebody who's building people up and giving people the, you know, the platform or the ability to be able to be their best them and create what they want to be able to create in their lives? Or are you somebody who's turning around and giving somebody your negative opinion, right? Are you telling them like that's a bad idea? Or, you know, are you giving them constructive criticism? Like, have you thought about this? Or, you know, what are your thoughts on doing things this way? You know, what about this opinion? You know, so it's a constructive way, not tearing people down and giving them a hard time. And I'm going to tell you guys a story that some of you guys might have heard before. Hey, David. Okay, so it's a story. It's actually a scientific study that was done years ago, and I don't have the year, so, you know, don't fault me. But it was about a study that was conducted with a group of monkeys, right? So there's a group of monkeys, and there's a ladder, right? And bananas. They had bananas that were kind of suspended on top of the ladder, right? And so all these monkeys were trying to climb up. One of them climbed up and wanted to get the bananas, obviously, right? And as soon as he was, or she was, getting close to the bananas, they were doused with water. It was doused with cold water, you know, ran off, like shrunk in the corner or whatever. So every single one of the monkeys that was in that room at the time went up the ladder to try and get the bananas, and then they were doused with cold water. So all of them then stood away and did not go anywhere near the bananas after that, right? So then what they did, the study, is they took one of the original monkeys out and they put a new one in, right? So when the new one saw the bananas up there, went, oh, I want those, went up to the top, climbed up to the top, tried to, but he was pulled down by all of the other monkeys. There was no water, right? No douse with water, because that was the stimulus, the trigger, right? So all the other monkeys, pulled him down, right? So eventually what they did is they took one by one, right? They replaced a new monkey that had never been doused with the water in, so that eventually what they had is an entire room full of monkeys that had never been doused by the water, but they were making sure that every single monkey did not get up there. So anytime a monkey tried to climb up, everybody would pull them down, right? And so how interesting is that? So we're conditioned now, they were conditioned to stop the other monkeys from doing what they thought they wanted to do, even though they didn't know why anymore. Do you have anybody in your life that's doing that to you? Right? That somehow they remember something bad about something that happened with their grandparents or some distant thing that they heard once, and they're like, no, I don't think you should do that. We don't even know why we're doing it anymore. We're not even getting all the information that we need to make informed decisions as humans, right? These monkeys are going off of very simple stuff. But are you doing that? Are you allowing people in your life to tear you down and keep you from being able to get what you want to get? Are you fearful of what might happen? What if you're just fearful of success? Is that keeping you from climbing up the ladder and trying to get your bananas? What's going on there, right? Hey, Steve, thanks for joining us. I know you got to be back on your way from Vegas or something. So no one would climb the pole anymore, but nobody knew why. So what kind of person are you? What kind of monkey are you? Are you the person that's building people up, or are you tearing them down? Are you telling them, don't do that because that's this, that's that, you're going to make a mistake, blah, blah, blah? Or are you saying, well, how could it work? How could I support you in what you wanted to be able to do? How can I make a difference and make things easier for you or simpler for you? I would love to hear from you guys. Do you guys have people in your life like that? They may be watching right now. Who knows, right? Thanks, Louis, the banana. I love it. My point is, who are you and who are you surrounding yourself with? It's really the power of associations, and how are those associations conditioned? Are they conditioned for greatness and success and an upward path? Or are they conditioned to just stay where they are, fly low under the radar? You don't want to be bothered. You don't want anybody's attention. You don't want any of those kinds of things. Who are you and who are you surrounding yourself with? Jewel, thanks. How do you deal with the person that pulls you down? Well, first you have to identify if that person is pulling you down. Do you feel good when you're around them? You have to ask yourself a couple questions and assess it, right? Hey, Legacy. So are they pulling you down? Do you feel good when you're around them? Do you feel positive? Are you doing positive things together? Are you going out and, are you having good conversations about ideas and concepts and what you want to do in the future? Or are you talking about other people? Because the small minds, they are the ones that talk about other people. So if you're going to spend your time talking to other people, that's a surefire way to know that you're dealing with someone that may be tearing you down. Because if they're talking about other people when they're with you, what are they saying about you when they're with other people, right? So we have to start assessing who we allow in our space and who we allow around us, because they influence us, right? If you don't like the people that you're around, or you start to notice that things are going on that you don't agree with, then take the stand, put on your big girl boy, your big girl pants and your big boy pants, and leave, right? Go do something else. Go be around people that make you happy, or go be around people that you feel comfortable with and you feel like you're going to go somewhere because you're with them, because you're going to have a better life, whether it's a better family or a better home life, a better relationship, more sex, more money, any of the stuff that you're looking for, you can find it. But if you spend your time with people that are not singing your praises and are not building you up, then you're destined for a really crappy life. And you don't need to be on this live, because it's all about inspiring people for their greatness. So let's see. Okay, I hope that helps you, because you've got to start to separate yourself. And even as sometimes those people are family, right? And you're not able to separate yourself, Jewel. But you can limit your exposure to those people. You can spend less time letting the ideas that are in their head, or the words that are negative that are getting in your head that they're saying all the time. Spend less time with that. There are some people in my family and also my husband's family that I'm like, you know what? I can just kind of deal with them in short periods of time, and then I have to walk away. And even sometimes, I don't always go to events and stuff. I want to control my mindset, because that's precious, because I have to live with me forever, right? I have to make sure that what's going on in my head is positive, is going in the right direction. And, I don't know, I've made some huge mistakes in my life as far as trying to make sure other people feel good. And, a little bit of what I was going to talk about is, the limitation of us, our ability to say no. Like, we're always so afraid to say no to things. But as I've gotten older, and once I crossed 40, I'm like, you know what? I don't really need to make sure that other people are happy. Ultimately, I need to be happy, and then I can make sure that, you know, my kids and my family, they're happy. But it starts with me. Don't let people drag you down and put you in a place where you feel like you're obligated to do something. That's something that's always made me crazy. Like, I don't want to feel obligated to do anything. I want to do things because I want to, because they make me happy, right? And I feel fulfilled because of it. Okay, Joel. Sometimes we vent and people perceive that we are bringing them down. You know what? It's okay to, like, one of my mentors and coaches calls it download. Like, it's okay to say, hey, is it okay if I just download with you for a second and just let you know some of the stuff that's going on in my head? You don't need to solve it. You don't need to try and give me a solution. I just need to get some of it out. Is that cool? And if you're with somebody who says, I really don't want to deal with your negativity right now, or I don't really want to hear your download, then that's not the person to be able to share those kinds of conversations with. Find the person that's like, yeah, I'm cool. Like, you know, let me know what you need and I'll be here. I don't have to solve the problem, or they don't have to solve the problem, okay? No one would climb the pole anymore, and they don't know why. I know, David, it's so crazy. Oh, I think I had another question. Hey, Imelda. Hey, Ardena. This is so relieving. I've always thought to myself, why are people not pushing for a greater life? Why do people stay comfortable? And that monkey and the banana example explains so much. It's totally true. People want to feel, they want to feel comfortable in their own skin. They want to feel like, you know, they're doing okay. And here's a really dangerous one. Let me share with you guys. One of the really dangerous ones is, I'm doing better than so-and-so. At least I'm better than such and such. Oh, well, so if you're comparing yourself to somebody who's doing less than you or is not doing as well as you, why is that something that you're feeling proud of, right? What's your best life? What's your, like, dream, right? Is it traveling all over the world? Is it a beautiful home? Is it an infinity pool? Is it kids in private school? Like, what is your dream? And why don't you start chasing it, right? Because so many of us, we have fear, we have distractions, we have things that hold us back. But, like, consciously we think, I want this stuff. I want more. I want to be able to do X, Y, Z. But then something happens that stops us. What is that thought in your head that's stopping you from taking things to the next level? For me, you know, I've had a lot of fear of, like, what are people going to think about me? Or what if I mess it up? Or what if my husband leaves me? Like, what if any of those things, right? I used to be really a very insecure person, the kind of person that could never go live and talk freely like this. Like, sometimes I'm like, what in the world? Like, I never would have thought a million years ago, 5-10 years ago, that I would be doing something like this. But it helps a ton. So don't stay comfortable. You cannot stay comfortable. If you're going to have and thrive and be in a better position and have a better life, you're going to have to get uncomfortable. There's those things that are stopping you, those little fears that are coming up. Those are the things that you're going to have to battle. And I would suggest actually writing those things down. Write those things down and start to figure out exactly where you are so that you can address them. Because once you write them down, you start to realize that they're really small. Like, oh, really? Once you write it down, then you think to yourself, that's kind of silly. Like, so here's the solution for that. Why do I think that? It's an irrational fear. Most fears are irrational, right? I mean, I fear falling off a cliff, but if I'm standing next to a cliff, then it makes sense. But if I'm not standing next to a cliff, then why am I fearful of heights? So just remember that you are in control, and being comfortable is really going to be to your detriment, because there's nobody who lays on their deathbed and thinks, man, I'm just so grateful that my life was so comfortable. They sit there regretting the things that they didn't do, how they didn't push themselves, how they could have done more, they could have been happier. And I think I mentioned it weeks ago, like, looking back at the years, I'm like, man, what in the world was I so focused on that I couldn't get other things done, right? Don't be that person that beats yourself up later for not getting it done. Hey, Jake, thanks for joining us. Jewel, you say no all the time, haha. Okay. All right, Imelda, that's the point. I'm at it, it's hard. I start saying no to people, and just recently my sister-in-law put me down, and I finally told myself, I don't need negativity in my life. We don't speak anymore, and it's sad, but now I'm working on me and my kids. Look, sometimes you're going to have people that get angry with you because you're not the person that you always were, right? You always, hey, all of a sudden you've been thinking about this, or this is the way that you've been acting all this time, but now you're different. When people used to tell me you're so different now, I used to think like, oh man, I'm not friends with them anymore. Like, my friends, But for people that I used to hang out with, like in high school and like right after college, they don't invite me to stuff anymore. I love them, but they don't invite me anymore. And it's mostly because I was so focused on business that I didn't make the time. But now they say, like, you're really different. You're always talking about business. Well, you know what? Like, the business is going to be able, like, what I do for business is going to be able to, like, change my life, and it's going to be able to change my family's life for generations. It's not just, like, can I just go hang out and do a little bit of, like, party time? Like, I have a very long-term view of my life. And so when people say I'm different, I say thank you. And does that mean that I'm not as close to some of these people? I'm not friends with some of these people? Yeah, I care about them. If they really needed me, I'd be there, right? But you have to remember, it is, Imelda, it is about you and your kids, right? The fear it's huge, right? You just bought a home. It's so exciting, right? It's out of your comfort zone. But you know what? When you realize that going out of your comfort zone and, fighting through it and knowing you're okay, you still got a pulse, you're still alive, and you're still able to do everything you need to do, then all of a sudden your comfort zone grows. And then you go, you know what? I could do more. And it stretches you and it gets you to the next level, and it boosts your confidence. And we all need that confidence booster, right? So don't worry so much about what other people think. Your internal fears, a lot of them come, not just you, but like a lot of us, our internal fears come from the judgments of when we were younger. Like, our parents told us this, and our teachers told us that, and TV, because I watched a ton of TV when I was younger. TV taught us, like, family values of certain kinds of things, and like, oh, don't do that, don't do that. Well, you know what if I did want to do that? What if I want to just, I don't know, do something totally crazy? But you got to be somewhat within reason, right? Don't do anything like that's illegal, right, or immoral. But you have to get to the point where you feel comfortable taking things to the next level, because what are you showing your children? What are you showing the people around you? If you're a boss or you run a business, like, you need to show your employees that there is nothing to be feared, right? You need to show your kids that they shouldn't fear anything. You tell your kids, you tell the people around you, you can do anything you want. Do you believe that? Are you taking everything out that's within you and going and racing for everything that you want to be able to create out of life? If you're not doing it, then that's the example that you're setting for the people around you, right? So take things to the next level and don't be afraid. Those fears, they're irrational. It's just, how do I describe this? That fear is irrational. It's not real. It's just, what do they say? Fear is false evidence appearing real. Just freaking do it. And you'll look at it back. You'll look back and go, man, that wasn't anywhere near as hard as I had built it up in my mind, right? Ooh, whew, I'm on fire today. All right. All right, hear more tonight. So I'm going to speak tonight. We've had a huge event in our office right here in West Hills. We're turning this office from a satellite office into a huge regional training center. So we're having a big party to launch that. It's going to be absolutely amazing. Don't miss it. Phenomenal, phenomenal stuff. Okay. All right. Can I download for a sec? Oh, David. Yes, I like that. Sorry, we just drop things on people about us and out challenges without asking for permission. And the truth is, they're not in a place to listen because they have their own things going on as well. Whew, David, thank you. I appreciate it. Like, I know that, like, I wish that I had done that to more people, because if people are dealing with their own crap, their own BS, their own stuff, right? They don't necessarily have time to listen to what I got going on, right? So ask them. Alrighty. Hear more tonight. Take yourself to the next level. Okay, good. So if any of you guys have more questions, so I was going to touch on one other thing. I hope that's okay. I got a couple more minutes. So the biggest thing that I was reading about earlier is that our inability to say no because we fear what other people are going to think, right? It's the biggest thing, I think, is more so that we fear what they're going to think, but we also fear hurting the relationship. So we want to say yes because we want to please other people. We want to make sure that they still feel good about us, they still love us. What I've done sometimes in the past, because I don't want to say no, is I leverage my office manager, right? My office coordinator. I'm like, no, just tell them no, or, like, it's kind of like the gatekeeper. So because if I feel bad, right? I want to be able to keep the relationship, and I don't want them to be mad at me for saying no. So I have somebody else do it. Yes, that's cowardly, and I admit it. But a lot of us do it, or like, you ask your friend, oh, can you tell them that I'm not going to be able to make it? Like, or, have your, like, when I was younger, like, I would have my mom call and say, oh, if I was going to work, like, not very often, but like, oh, she's not able to come into work today because she's sick, right? she's throwing up, blah, blah, blah. And I was probably sick because I'm not a liar, so I couldn't like not tell the truth. But why did I feel so bad about calling them up and saying, hey, I'm sick, right? So, you know, we have this fear of like, we have this challenge to be able to want to say yes to everything, not want to have to say no to anything ever. But sometimes it can revert, and then we say yes and we take on too much, and we're spread really thin because we're then not bringing value. And when we're saying yes to be somewhere and we're not really enjoying it, then we're like pissed off the whole time, we're angry, and we're not getting the most of what we could out of it, right? So every once in a while, you know, I said no, or I've said yes to some things, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to go, gosh, don't want to. And then it ends up being really good, and I'm kicking myself for like being so angry about not wanting to go. So you have to, I think we have to start asking more questions about things before we say yes or no, so that we can make an informed decision and be okay with saying no. Say it with me. No, thank you, right? It's not so easy all the time, but we feel like, oh, I don't want them to be mad, or I want them to like me. I want them the relationship to be good. Look, every time you say no to something, you're actually opening up to be able to say yes to something else. So I got that quote. That's Michael Hyatt. So don't be so worried about what everybody thinks. I think that that's like the biggest one, like the biggest killer for entrepreneurs and people who would love to be entrepreneurs, or even, you know, I worry about what people think about how I'm raising my kids, you know, like, oh, if your kids aren't doing X, Y, Z, then you're not a good mom. No, you're still a good mom. Like, you just aren't going to be doing everything exactly the same as everybody else, which you're different anyway, so that's okay. Jewel, okay, should you just be straightforward and confront, or do like I do and just cut you off? So I would say that you don't have to be like in your face when you're trying to get your point across to someone, but maybe here's a technique that I think is really valuable. You have to, it takes some practice, but why don't you ask some questions so that people start to come to the conclusion that you want them to, but by themselves, right? If you ask the questions and you can get somebody to start thinking in the line of which you're thinking, then they don't look at you like you just told them not to do something, but you've been able to get them to see what you're seeing, maybe a bigger picture, by just asking them the questions. That's like a leadership kind of strategy. Hey, Matt, thanks for joining us. Because at the end of the day, like sometimes like you were talking about spreading too thin, right? I was talking about that a second ago. So let's start looking at, if you feel like somebody's telling you, oh, I'm doing this and I'm doing this, I'm doing this. Okay, why don't you start asking them, so tell me what your schedule is going to be like now that you're going to be doing that. How are you going to be handling that, right? How are you going to take that on? So that then they tell you, oh, well, I'm going to do this. Like, I kind of figured it out. Monday, I'm going to do this. And then Tuesdays and Thursdays is going to be this way. And then Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays, whatever. It's going to be like this. That means they've actually thought it through, and if they think that they're going to be okay. If they're like, hey, I'm going to get 2 or 3 hours of sleep every night, like maybe you want to think like, well, how many hours of sleep do you normally get? Well, normally I get 5 or 6. Well, do you think that's going to like make you a little less effective if you're getting less sleep? You can help them come to that solution or come to that conclusion that you're already like kind of in that realm of, without you having to tell them that's a stupid idea. I think that's a bad idea. You're not going to get enough sleep, because it's a completely different conversation, right? So that I think would help, definitely. Jewel, wouldn't you agree they don't have your best interest at heart? They are more concerned with their outcome. Well, personally, I think everyone's selfish, okay? We're all selfish. We're all trying to self-gratify. We're all trying to make ourselves feel better, right? You know, obviously we care about our kids. Like, I love and care about my kids, but I want to feel like a good mom. So when my daughter like freaks out because she doesn't want to read, I'm like, man, I should have read with her more. Like, I feel bad. Like, I'm a terrible mother, you know, and those things go through my head. But then I think, no, I just have to work harder at it right now. So I think we're all concerned with our ultimate outcome. But people can feel it when you're trying to do something that's for their benefit, like for your own benefit. People can feel it when you're trying to do something that's for your own benefit versus theirs. So you have to make sure that your intentions are good when you're talking to somebody, because if your intentions are in the wrong place, they're going to feel it. So don't come from a place of selfishness. Don't come from a place of, you know, what can I get out of the situation? I mean, we're talking on a generic scale, but a lot of you know enough about your interworkings and your intercommunications with people to know when you're trying to get something from someone, they know it. And so you need to come from a place of like genuine caring for other people, so that you can do something ultimately good for them. Because if you're their friend, right, and you ultimately care about their friendship more than anything else, then you want the best for them. We all want the best for each other, I would think. But yes, we are ultimately all selfish. We don't want to do things that are going to make us uncomfortable or, you know, lose sleep or stretch us more. But honestly, like, if those things are stretching you for the right reasons, then I think it's okay. Then I think it makes sense. Okay. All right. Anybody else have any questions? Because we're almost done. I hope this was valuable for you guys. I don't know if I missed any, but if you can, please share this video, like, comment, do everything that you can to get this in the hands of people that you think would benefit, because you never know whose lives you're going to be able to touch, who you're going to be able to inspire. And I really appreciate you guys getting on. This has been like, it's funny because now on Facebook, like every week I'm getting new videos of things that I did last year. So it's like been a year anniversary of GGinspire, and you guys have just been absolutely incredible. I appreciate you guys getting on. And if you guys have suggestions for topics, please feel free to comment. We appreciate you so much. Oh, Jewel, will some tear you down so much you don't want the relationship? Bye, Felicia. I got you. All right, but you know what? We're all about inspiration and taking things to the next level and having your best life. So I appreciate you guys. Let's get out there. Let's share some of this goodness. Let's use this in business. Let's use this in our interpersonal communications and create a better life all across the board. So love you guys. You're awesome. Be inspired for a great life.